Coming at you from CSB Studio C in Atlanta, Georgia, the Beer Battered Sports Network presents MMA Mayhem, where MMA matters the most with Brad Storm.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
And George, the MMA Encyclopedia Kennebrew.
I'm going to do my thing, and when I do my thing will be done.
To give you the lowdown on the world of mixed martial arts, it's MMA Mayhem on the BBSN.com.
What's going on, everybody? MMA Mayhem is back for the attack, episode 35. We are in the box right now. Yeah, CSB, we're having some technical difficulties, and Studio C has been shut the F down, George.
Yeah, y'all, it's the MMA Encyclopedia, man. I'm over here, about to roast like a Kentucky Fried Chicken, but we're going to still get this thing cracking. You heard me?
Oh, George, it's crazy, man, because, we go from this big studio to this little box, man. I feel like a man in the box. And, it's just crazy how, we have to maneuver around. And Joel's going to have a heart attack today. What do you think?
Yeah, I would predict that. Joel's going to be 38 hot after the broadcast.
But, speaking of hot, the Falcons are tearing it up, man. It looks like the Falcons had a big victory this week, and the Pats win as well.
Oh, yeah, man. I keep telling these people, that keep doubting us and saying, what we ain't going to do. We just going to keep shutting their mouth, man. We just going to keep on racking up these wins because I told y'all, man, Dirty Birds rise up and we flying high right now. And after this Sunday afternoon, we going to be 6-zip Yahtzee. You know what I mean?
Hey, all of you MMA fans, and that's great. 6-0 might be a good thing. You guys are playing the Raiders. That's an easy win. But the Pats come out big rushing yards by the Patriots, and hey, it was all good. But how is this sharing this one mic thing, man? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel kind of clogged up here a little bit. I'm used to having my own space, but we'll manage. But like you were saying about the Pats and everything, man, I'm gonna need you to tell Tom Brady to get that offense cranked up a little bit early in the quarters, man, because I was about to go sleepy by there, during the last of the third quarter.
Yeah, that's true. They were trying to, they're slow in the third quarter anyway. The Patriots are slow. But, hey, fans, there's a lot to talk about today. We're going to skip out of football. I want to just make a shout-out to Rampage Pro Wrestling. I was there this past Sunday. Outstanding show. You can check them out on RampageProWrestling.net. I did some stand-up interviews, did some play-by-play, and I did some previews and recaps. It was a good time. And all you fans, if you love wrestling, too, you want to check it out because Rampage is where it's at.
Yep, but I tell you, Brad, something where it is not definitely at and somewhere that John Fitch is not at. Where he is at, he is on hard financial times right now. He has become an integral part of the recession, which is something that you don't want to be a part of as a professional athlete right now. Is that 2 mortgages he's got to pay, Brad?
Yeah, that's 2 mortgages, and we talked about this the first time we tried to record this in CSB Studio C, but, it's like just like with NFL, the players and fighters, you guys need to be young guys especially need to be educated on their financial matters. But, John Fitch, he's an older gentleman, and he only fought once. Was it once last year?
Yeah, in December, where he got the lights turned out in Indiana by Johnny Big Rig Hendricks.
Yeah, no, hey, my mistake too. February 2011, he had a draw with BJ Penn as well, and he didn't cash in last year, and now he's got, like you said, 2 mortgages, got a condo. He says if he was living back in his hometown, he could afford things, but now in California, it's hard for him to go train elsewhere. He's got to stay at home, and I don't know how this is going to affect his game come UFC 153.
Well, I guess he might need to call up some of his old buddies from college or do something, or he might need to go out to Greg Jackson. I mean, he seems to be the guy that makes peace with everybody and knows how to, be the answer to, every problem. So,
hey, like you say, with problems, more money, more problems. I would not know anything about that. But, his sponsorships, he says they've been drying up. Usually you charge more than $500 for an appearance. Now he's like, yeah, I need to make these appearances, but $500, I don't want them charging, I don't want to charge $500 for the rest of my career because they're not going to want to go up in price if the word gets out.
Yeah, I mean, John Fitch, All I gotta say is, man, just do what you gotta do. That's really what all I gotta say about that.
Jeremy Stevens, remains in jail. He was supposed to be on FX5. Couldn't make the trip out there because he was locked up. There's a lot of stories going around here, but Dana White backs up his man. I think Stevens might have been caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. One of his friends knocked the lights out of somebody.
Yeah, that's usually the case with most of these guys, man. Like we were saying about the Jose Aldo incident when he got into the motorcycle accident. I know it might be hard to do. I know it might be lame, but in order to get where you want to go, you got to separate yourself from certain people. Because even though you might think they might have your best interest, that doesn't turn out to be the case. So, if you want to succeed, separate yourself.
Yeah, a prime example is that. Want to go back to NFL, Michael Vick, man. He separated himself from the people that he surrounded himself with, and looks to be doing better outside of the gridiron, but not on the gridiron. Hey, we want to talk about, the UFC just let go of DeMarcus Johnson. And the funny thing is, Matt Mitrione just turned down a fight with Cormier, and that was supposed to be, a good opportunity for Mitrione. Yeah. But, his wrestling ability is weak at most, and he needs more than a month to train. What do you think?
So, that's going to be your only excuse for not fighting Cormier? Yeah, Cormier's striking has improved greatly, but if you got the knockout power that Meathead does have, don't you think you would be confident enough to test that against somebody like Cormier?
Well, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Johnson, he stepped in on a fight on short notice, and he was taken down by Gunnar Nelson. Didn't make weight. He was submitted in the first round, and that's his third straight loss, and he's out of there. So, he comes in, jumps in, does what Dana White wants him to do, and say good sayonara. But Mitrione's still on the UFC card, or the roster, so to speak.
I don't know, man. I guess sometimes being the good guy can be bad.
Hey, yeah, that's true. But you know what was not bad? It was Invicta Fight Championships 3. Tell them about it.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you wanted to see an action-packed, matter of fact, let me put it like this. If you wanted to see a dream MMA card, this was the card to watch. Not taking nothing away from UFC on Fox 5, or FX, I should say. But Invicta FC was the place to be. Get this, ladies and gentlemen. You had 14 fights, 10 finishes, 6+ finishes in the first round. It doesn't get any better than that. You can't even get a value meal at McDonald's that good. Come on. Let's be serious here. You get 14 fights, 10 finishes, 6+ in the first round. Only one goes to decision. Come on. Really?
Yeah, the main event had Jessica Penney from Reign MMA and Kings MMA taking the win against Naho Sugiyama, the Suji Rock. And just looked like Naho was a little bit undersized in that contest, bro.
Yeah, and it also looked like, Jessica Penney really came to play, as you would say, Brad. And she was just like, hey, you want to take me down to the ground? We can do that. I know you might be one of the best in the world, but tonight is my night. I got a chance to make history, and I'm going to do it. So you put me in a dangerous position, but I'm still going to choke you out with a triangle, and I'm going to walk home with a belt.
And that's what she did. Shayna Baszler, Queen of Spades, she got the victory, comes back from a loss to Sarah McMahon on July 28th.
Great fight, by the way.
That was an excellent fight. And she takes down the Monster. And the Monster, her last loss was in Strikeforce 18 to Ronda Rousey.
Oh, my.
And, it looks like Sarah's going to have to bounce back from this loss. It was a tough battle, but one had to come out on top, and the Queen of Spades victorious.
I guess we found out in this fight that a monster cannot scare a spade.
Oh, yeah, this one mic stuff is really awesome, bro.
Great.
UFC on Fox 5, Brown versus Bigfoot. We have to give it up to American Top Team. That's right. Antonio Bigfoot Silva takes the win.
That's right, man. He came in focused. He came in ready. He had the eye of the tiger. He looked like he was ready to handle business. Travis Browning obviously paid too much attention to the Cain Velasquez fight and didn't realize that this was not going to be the same Antonio Bigfoot Silva as that last fight. And Bigfoot Silva said, okay, you want to doubt me? Well, say hello to my little friend, my right hand. And then after that, the lights went out in Hawaii.
You know, Travis Brown, he came into FX5, I think a little bit confident, overconfident, and doing that crane kick, Karate Kid style at the beginning of the fight.
Yeah.
I think he tore his hamstring on that one, bro.
Yeah.
And, you know, Antonio, you know, whether, you know, you get an injury or not, lights out for Brownie, man. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board. He's going to be out for like 3 to 4 months, I believe.
But thank God he will not need surgery. And also, real quick, Jake, the Juggernaut Ellenberger, went up against Jay, the thoroughbred Huron. He looked anything but thorough. He looked like he was thorough gone in this fight. And that's almost what I was watching this fight. I was darn near gone because this fight was, as Brad, as you just heard, a snooze fest.
You know, fans, if you want to chime in, if you're a fighter out there, you want to chime in on that contest, if you believe it's not boring, if you want to check it, make a comment, go to the BBSN on Twitter, or you can go to bbsnblog@gmail.com or on Facebook.
And also, you can check out, as always, thebbsn.com. Wrapping it up here, John the Magician Dotson pulls another trick out of the sleeve, no pun intended, against a very capable opponent. And, man, the Jackson effect kind of came into play again because, again, I almost was going to New Zealand, but anyway, John Dotson came through, and he got the second round TKO. He's facing Demetrius Johnson. Don't miss the fight because it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah, flyweights are going to be banging it out on that contest. You know, honorable mention, yeah, Dotson gets out the victory. But speaking of a guy that got a victory, but I'm scratching my head. CES MMA, Dave Bautista takes on Vince Lucero. He was supposed to fight Rashid Evans, postponed the fight, picked I guess not a better opponent, but a guy with a 22-23 record, lost 9 fights in a row.
Yeah, good going. Yeah, good going, Dave. And the most interesting thing is he got him. I guess he thought it was Mother's Day out there because he went out waving to his mom, letting her know that he really appreciates everything she's done, but he should have done that after the fight. And also, he obviously must have went to Blimpies and had the 5-for-5 deal with it too because he came in here as big as a balloon as well.
No, I think he went to McDonald's and got himself a Whopper, bro. I think that's what he did.
The Whopper? I thought that was the Big Mac.
Oh, wait a minute, McDonald's? Oh, yeah, my bad, man. Yeah, I guess it was a Big Mac because he must have had about 10 before he fought.
We know you don't eat McDonald's.
No, I don't eat McDonald's, man. That's gross. And, you know, it's like, you know, this guy Lucero, looks like they called him up on the phone. I don't know if they called him up on the couchfighter.co hotline or the MMA Mayhem hotline. I don't know what's going on, but they said, hey, man, Lucero, do you want to fight tonight? And he's like, oh, yeah, man, I'm eating a chicken pot pie, but I'll be ready for you. I'll be ready to bang, man. No problem. I'm only about 50 pounds overweight. I'm good.
Yeah. And basically Dave Bautista was like, all right, you know, I'm just going to do my Ultimate Warrior thing, and I'm just going to basically act like I squashed him and look at it as a tainted victory, and then the pyro's going to go off like...
He didn't do that, man, when he won. He didn't do that.
He didn't shake the cage thing? He didn't do that?
He didn't do the gun thing.
Oh, he didn't do the gun thing? Okay, I thought he was going to do the gun thing, but okay.
Yeah, he didn't do that. Batista, what are your thoughts on that, fans? I mean, if you saw that one, you can check it out on YouTube. I know it's on there, but I wasn't paying the, I guess, the $35 pay-per-view price for that one. No,
Don't worry, Brad. It'll probably only get about like 7 views anyway, so, you know. Coming up next here on MMA Mayhem, we will be chopping it up with none other than Born to Bang's own Houston Murphy. So stay tuned. You are listening to MMA Mayhem on thebbsn.com/couchfighter.co.
MMA Mayhem fans, this is Brad Storm saying what's up. If you love MMA as much as you love pro wrestling, then you're going to love the WWA 4. Every Thursday night, 8 o'clock bell time on Full Industrial and Commerce Drive, you'll see the best of the WWA 4 superstars such as AR Fox, Black Baron, Skeletal, J-Bo, K9, and many, many more. Go check us out on YouTube. Look up WWA 4, subscribe, share to the world, and comment as well. And you can also hit us up on our Facebook at Fans of WWA 4. If you love pro wrestling action, the WWA 4 is where it's at.
What's happening, everybody? This is the Emperor, the Black Baron, your independent wrestling star, your international YouTube star, and then when I want the latest news in MMA, I go to one place and one place only, and that's MMA Mayhem, baby.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to King Ice.
MMA Mayhem fans, we are back here on the MMA hotline with none other than the owner and president of Born to Bang athletic wear. Welcome aboard, Houston Murphy. Great to have you back on the show.
Oh, man, how you doing, guys? How you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. You know, I'm holding down the storm front here today. Brad Storm, I'm the only one in the studio. We still all have real jobs, so all the fans out there, if you want to help us out and achieve our dreams, just keep on listening.
Oh, hey, I understand that, man. You gotta do what you gotta do every day, man, to do what you want to do. So I completely understand that. I work a 12-hour job myself, along with running Born to Bang Athletics, running MMAconnects.com. So, you know, I completely understand that, man. We don't have enough hours in the day for us.
Oh, yeah, you know that's right. And, you know, you got to be a hustler out there if you want your dreams to be fulfilled. You can work a job that you don't like, but if you want to work one that you do, you got to be a hustler. And speaking of hustlers, we got a lot of fighters that we want to talk about that are affiliated with Born to Bang athletic wear. And the first guy I want to talk about is a guy named Jeremy Spoon. Going to be facing off against an opponent here in Bellator coming up. What's your thoughts on that? And, you know, give us a little bit of insight on who Jeremy Spoon is and what he's going to deliver in the cage.
Absolutely. Well, Jeremy Spoon, he's actually the newest addition to the Born to Bang family. Actually, we got a call last week from Alan over at Athlete Bay, and said that Jeremy had a sponsor before. I guess they backed out for whatever the reason was. And of course, we're always here to try to help out when we can. It lined up, and it was a great opportunity for us. So we're going to be sponsoring Jeremy Spoon. I know he fights out of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He's 12-1. He's dropping down to featherweight from the lightweight class. I know his lone loss came in his last fight. He fought Daniel Stratus at the I guess that was the Bellator lightweight tournament. Ended up losing by decision, so he dropped down a weight class, and now we're gonna make another run at this 45 title. We had Popo Bazeja last year. He made it all the way to the semis against Marlon Sandro. So we were well represented there, and now we're going to run back with Jeremy and take another shot at this Bellator tournament, man. I know Jeremy's fighting. Jeremy's 12-1, fighting Mike Richmond. I'm not too familiar with Richmond, but I'm sure he's a tough guy. If he's in the Bellator tournament, I don't think they give any free passes into the tournament, man. So I'm just I'm excited. It'll be this Friday night, main card, and you guys will see some Born to Bang and see Jeremy Spoon go out there and put on a show for everybody.
Oh yeah, I love Bellator. You know, they got a lot of action. You know, and it's you don't have to pay for it, man. It's on the tube, so that's another plus on the side of Bellator. And you know, Jeremy Spoon though, if he's fighting featherweight, man, he's got to be a fast guy. He's got to be furious on his feet and with his hands.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what I've heard. Alan told me, you know, he's a great guy to watch. He's a fan favorite. He comes out there looking to finish. I think he's even got about 6 submissions on his record as well.
Excellent.
And I mean, it's just going to be a great show. I mean, Bellator always goes out, like you said, with Bellator, you don't have to worry about paying for anything. It's on your network cable. And hey, I mean, the main event that night is Eddie Alvarez versus the Pitbull Patrici. So I mean, it's going to be a massive fight. I mean, what better could you ask for, man? You got 4 opening round featherweight tournament fights, and then you got Eddie Alvarez in the main event, live from Canada, man, all on MTV too. You can't beat it.
And you know, when you want to talk about outstanding events, you know, Bellator is one of those companies that puts it out there, but I want to talk about Extreme Knockout 16. That's right, October 20th. A couple of weeks ago, we had Donnie the Bomber Bell on the show, and he's going to be going into a contest with Brad Mitchell for the lightweight championship belt there. What are your thoughts on Donnie the Bomber and his affiliation with yourself and Born to Bang Athletics?
Oh, well, Donnie is just he's a role model person. He's a young guy, still about 22 years old. I was just actually with Donnie this past Saturday, man, and went up there and watched him get in the Shark Tank and watched him do a lot of sparring and fight of their, you know, they're getting ready for their fights. You got Donnie Bell, who's fighting for the lightweight title that night against Brad Mitchell. One of his training partners, Alex Russ, is a dynamite 135-pounder who's also on the card. So I mean, I'm telling you what, there were some exchanges in that sparring session that looked like full-on fight exchanges. Wow. I mean, there was a couple of them that I was sitting on the bleachers watching, and needless to say, it was I had my head through the cage pretty much by the time it was over, because I mean, they were putting it down, man. And the funny thing is, I was talking to Donnie, and Donnie said, "Man, you're not going to believe what Brad Mitchell said about me." I was like, "Oh, what'd he say? What'd he say?" And Donnie was like, "You know what, man? I usually like to start the trash talking off." He said, "Brad beat me to this one." He said, Brad said in his most recent interview that Donnie wasn't a natural 155-pounder, and you know, he was going to give Donnie a beating like a true 55er would say. It's like, you know what, man? I read that. I listened to the interview. and I immediately went outside and went for a 7-mile run. So I hope Brad Mitchell's bringing it with him because, like I said, I watched firsthand Donnie Bell is in shape, and he's ready to go, man. The bombs are going to be flying. I can promise you that.
You know, every time we interview Donnie Bell, he's always training, man. We're always interviewing him during his training sessions. This guy has a motor that won't quit. And after the loss to Clayton Robinson, which was a tight contest, really to call, you know, it could have went either way. And I think he's ready to redeem himself. And honestly, there's not much out on Brad Mitchell. Do you got any background on him? What's his specialty? What he likes to do?
I don't know. I know he's a bigger guy. I know he's built well. He's a big, muscular guy. I hear he's pretty good on his feet. So I would imagine that you know, he's a banger is what it sounds like. I've heard good things about him. I know he's 2-0, so I know he hasn't had that many fights under his belt. But in this game, man, you can never underestimate anybody.
No.
And, you know, after talking with Donnie, it's just like any fighter that goes through something. And he said it perfectly. He's like, man, the only thing that bothered me about the Clayton fight is he didn't beat me. I beat myself. And, you know, admittedly, Donnie, you know, said he was gassing in the second round. And that's something that's not going to happen this fight. I mean, like I said, talking with him on Saturday, I know he's got just an insane cardio regimen for this fight, and you're going to see Donnie at his best because, I mean, anybody that saw the Clayton fight, I mean, he went Hulk smash on Clayton a couple times, and he picked him up and was throwing around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize just how good of a wrestler Donnie Bell is, and I don't think they realize what kind of dynamite that he packs in those hands, and it's just, he's a complete fighter, and it's really going to come out and show. He's going to bring the title belt home, and the sky's the limit for Donnie. It's going to be exciting, man. We've got a new really cool Donnie Bell shirt coming out. Actually just got the artwork for it this morning. So very excited about that. The old, Donnie Bell dropping bombs shirt. So you guys will definitely like it. And it's going to be an amazing fight. I can't wait.
Yeah, you know, and there's probably not going to be added pressure on Donnie Bell as far as no cars involved in this one. He doesn't have to worry about winning a car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because, you know, that could add pressure to you. I mean, I don't know. You might be thinking about the car and fighting at the same time. This one, it's just going to be a fight. It's for something more important than a car, a belt.
Oh, absolutely. And he's back in his home. You know, he's ready to go. That's where, you know, Donnie's from, is from the Arlington area. You know, that's where his fan base is at, man. And he's just going to go out and put on a show for his friends and family out there. And I know that I saw the look in his eyes on Saturday, and I promise you there's nothing that's going to hold him back from getting that belt, and especially not just another man. I mean, he's just going to go straight through him. I can promise you that.
Yeah, you know, if you want to add fuel to the fire, good luck with that one, Brad Mitchell. You know, I'm not talking anything dirty on you. You know, I hope it's a great fight, but, you know, you don't want to add fuel to the fire. And you know what? No. Speaking of fuel, this is going to blow the top off of the arena at XFC 21, Night of Champions 2. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. You're going to have notorious Nick Newell taking on Eric. It's a wrap, Reynolds, your boy, over there at Born to Bang. What are your thoughts on this contest? It's going to be a lightweight bout for the belt, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be for the XFC the lightweight title. And I mean, it's just going to be insane because I've seen quite a bit of Nick Newell, which I'm sure everybody has, and it's amazing what the kid can do, thinking that, you know, you're in a sport where, you know, you're using both hands and both feet at all times. And, you know, it's not even a disadvantage for him. I mean, if anybody saw his last fight, they saw him hit a flying knee knockout against the cage. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that guy got crumbled on that one.
Oh, I mean, the kid's got so much talent. It doesn't matter if he, you know, has one hand or four hands. You know, the kid is amazing. Eric is a very, very tough fighter. I don't think Nick's ever seen a fighter like Eric, to be honest with you. If you guys watched the fight that Eric was in about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, he was in the main event, and it looked like he was losing the first round. You know, he might have been, you know, a little slower, maybe sluggish, losing the first round, and next thing you know, he's got a deep, deep guillotine on a jiu-jitsu guy and put him to sleep. I mean, Eric Reynolds is the perfect matchup, I think, for Nick Newell. I mean, it's going to bring fireworks, and you know, it's going to have so much coverage on it. It's just going to be a fun fight. Obviously, whenever we heard the chance to sponsor Eric, you know, we've been sponsoring Eric for about 2 or 3 fights now, and whenever I heard about the title fight with Nick Newell, then, I mean, obviously, we were just so excited about that, and just, you know, we've been in Eric's corner for a while now. You know, want to give a big shout out to his manager, Anthony, over at Relentless Reps. Awesome guy.
Nice.
And, everybody like that, anybody that comes in and puts in hard work, man, and he's a funny kid, too. If you've ever listened to any of Eric's interviews and stuff like that, he's a real cool guy, real easy to get along with, man, and he goes out there and delivers, and that's really all you can ask for in a fighter.
And I think, Eric, I think he's going to take Nick Newell's very seriously, undefeated opponent he's facing off against. But you know what? Eric has a long sheet of opponents he's put down. I mean, this guy has no ring rust. He's been there. He's been fighting since, 2007?
Yeah, exactly. 2007. And, I mean, and if you look at his record, I mean, you look at the guys that he's fought, and he's got a couple of the big names on there. So he's definitely no stranger to the tough competition, that's for sure.
And I think, at first, maybe when Nick Newell was first getting into the cage, his opponents might have said, oh, I don't want to be too hard on this guy. But, hey, man, it's a real deal right now. Notorious Nick Newell is for real. And I think this one's going to explode. Main event. You can't have any better of a main event card than this. I think XFC 21 is just going to set a skyrocket in the air and set this aflame, man.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Going up the card, you got to give a shout-out to my boy Jason Hicks. Jason Hicks out of South Carolina. Got to give him some love with Jared Williams from Palmetto Sports Management. He'll definitely be on the card.
Rick Rainey's going to be on the card, the sniper.
Exactly. Well, it's going to be just a great fight. It's crazy because you see Jason Hicks was the XFC tryout winner. He made it on the show. He's knocked a couple people out. And now you got Nick Newell, who was also the tryout. He went to the XFC tryouts, made it, and now look at him now. He's fighting for the title in the main event. The kid was on the Jim Rome show. The kid was on Sports Center. Yep. Come on. He's a good-looking kid. He can fight. Come on. How much better of an opponent could you ask for? And how much better of a fight could you ask for? And probably the third biggest promotion, in the world behind, the Strikeforce and UFC and maybe Bellator. So it's just an amazing fight. Couldn't be more proud to be a part of it. And Eric's going to go out there and show him up and take that belt from him.
Hey, real quick, too, you talk about the Ronan Hicks, man. He's facing the master of cool, Kevin Ferrant. That's going to be a good one, man.
It's going to be a good one, man. I got a little beef with Ferrant because he beat my boy Joe Elmore. So hopefully we're coming back for redemption, baby. But he's a great fighter. Don't let his long hair, don't let that the looks fool you. He comes out to fight, man, like Cody McKenzie. Don't let the long hair fool you, man. He's a great fighter. I'm excited about that. Jason's a great fighter. It's going to be a good fight, man. I'm excited for that whole card, top to bottom.
I don't know too much about what's going on with Legacy Fighting Championship 16 as of yet, but I'm sure you're going to inform me. You're going to have one of your guys on the card. It's going to be December 14th. Eric the Pitbull Culpepper is going to be taking on Russell Brewer. And what do you think about this contest? How's that shaping up?
Oh, man, it's going to be a great fight. Anybody that's got the chance to see Aaron Culpepper fight, we call him the Pitbull for one reason. You look at him, he looks like a pit bull. He's built like a pit bull, and he's nasty, man. He's win, lose, or draw. He's one of those kind of guys like your Clay Guidas, your Nick Diaz. No matter what they do, no matter if they win or lose, it's going to be a great fight, and we know that. We already know that.
And, I guess with Aaron, too, he's got a motor that doesn't quit then. If you're talking about guys like Clay Guida, guys that can keep going. And, even like if you saw a couple of weeks ago, Hot Sauce Holtzman, that guy he's a monster, and he can keep going. It's just crazy. And what weight class is that in?
That's going to be in 155. Russell Brewer, actually, he was 3-0 going into his last Legacy fight. We had one of our other Born to Bang fighters, Hayward Charles. He actually submitted him with an armbar in about a minute. So now he's coming back to fight Culpepper. Culpepper and Donnie Bell are real good friends, good training partners. So I'll tell you what, man, when those two guys get in the cage and train, it's like a full-on fight, man. They're going at it. They're not holding nothing back. And if you haven't had the chance to see an Aaron Culpepper fight, he's just crazy, man. He's amazing. And his best thing is what he tells me all the time. He goes, man, people ask me in my interviews, what am I going to do in my fight? And he goes, and I tell him, man, how am I going to tell you guys what I'm going to do in the fight when I don't even know? He goes, it might be a Superman punch. He's got this off-the-cage Superman punch that I'm probably not supposed to be telling anybody about. But just don't let him know I told you, and just watch for it, man. I'm telling you, he sets it up. It's almost as cool as the Showtime kick. So it's crazy, man. And he's definitely going to go out there. Russell Brewer's a tough kid. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, very tough guy. But he's going to come out there, man. They're going to lock horns, and they're going to throw down, and we'll see how it ends up. But I see it TKO Culpepper should take him out within the first 2 rounds.
And you're going to want to see that one. It's what is it going to be televised on Access Television?
Yes, sir. Access Television, yes, sir. December 14th it is.
All right, we got a lot of great fights coming up. Do you want to get anything out there in closing and let anybody know anything in particular besides the fighting going on, maybe with your with Born to Bang and how that things are going with them?
Absolutely, man. I just want to really give a big thanks out to Robust Energy Drink. They're a big sponsor of our guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever tried this stuff or not, but you have to try it, man. It's just like Red Bull, but it tastes 10 times better than Red Bull.
Does it give you a rush?
It does. It gives you. I promise you, if I blindfolded people and gave them the choice of one or two, they would probably get it mixed up, and they might even pick the Robust over the Red Bull because it tastes just like Red Bull. It just doesn't have that kind of funky aftertaste that Red Bull has. So definitely want to give a big shout out to David King over at Robust Energy Drink. Big supporters of us. Everybody that helps us as far as Randy King Insurance, VIP mouth guards, cash rides. Anybody, if I'm forgetting you out there, I love all you guys. We couldn't do it without you guys. And I thank everybody that's ever had anything to do with Born to Bang and continually has anything to do with it. MMA Mayhem for always bringing me on and let me talk about the guys and their fights. And I just appreciate everything out there from everybody, from Rick to First Round Management, Anthony at Relentless KO Reps, Mickey Duberly from KO Dynasty, man. I wouldn't be here without you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, Houston, it's always a pleasure to have you here on MMA Mayhem. We really appreciate it. And anything we can do, man, just keep shuffling fighters to us, man. We'll interview them all.
Absolutely, guys. Well, I appreciate it, man. Much love to you guys. Thank you again for everything you guys do. And until next time, man, we'll meet again.
All right. Take care, bro.
Thank you.
Coming up next on MMA Mayhem, we have the owner of Inside Punch and Georgia Fighters Magazine, Jose Santiago, only on the BBSN.com and CouchFighter.co.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAIN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we are talking to, via the CouchFighter.co hotline, we are talking to none other than Inside Punch's own Mr. Jose Santiago. Mr. Santiago, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing fine. Glad to have you on the show. First thing I wanted to know is this Inside Punch has become a rapid success. It's been viral all over social media and everything. And I wanted to know, how did the whole Inside Punch idea come about?
Well, you know, the Inside Punch idea, it started in 2008. David Oblast was actually the pioneer behind it, like he is the pioneer behind so many things here locally in Georgia.
Right.
He already had a relationship with Comcast because all of the Wild Bills Fight Night shows are on Comcast. So he had a relationship with them, and he kind of pitched the idea and said, hey, what if we do this show? Didn't have a name for it. And he said, what if we do this show where we just kind of cover, you know, MMA, boxing, combat sports in general? And, you know, Dave and I talked about it. He said, you know, would you be willing to do it with me? And I said yes. And then we had to come up with a name. I remember probably in 2004, sitting on my couch one day and saying, you know what, I wonder if there's a cool domain out there where I can create a website. I had no idea that I'd use it for a show. I thought I'd use it for a website. And I was watching Inside Edition. And I know, shame on me for watching Inside Edition. But I was watching Inside Edition and had my laptop and looked up the domain. What about Inside Punch? That sounds pretty cool. Fortunately enough, it wasn't taken. I bought it. I held on to it for 4 years. We needed a name for the show, and I was like, you know what? I already own the domain Inside Punch. Let's just call it that, and we called it that. As the show progressed, David Oblast eventually got way too busy for the show, and I brought on Kimberly Sargent, and as they say, the rest is history. We actually were on Comcast for a while, looked at the numbers. Ironically, on Comcast, the numbers weren't as well as I wanted them to be. And so we pulled the show off of Comcast, and now we're just a web-based show, and it's been going great, really, really, really well.
All right, awesome. You know, it's funny you were mentioning about Kimberly Sargent. That's actually one of my good friends. I'm very familiar with Miss Sargent. You know, I've known her from a couple of years back, so I'm glad to see that she's finally having success with you and Inside Punch. So that was very good. You know, you brought her name up. Now, say it again.
Kimberly's actually very well versed. When I first brought her in, she was actually better versed at MMA than I was. You know, I was the boxing enthusiast, and you know, with Kimberly and her boyfriend, who she's been with seems like forever now, Jared Burke,
right,
who's a great fighter. You know, she's been in tune with the MMA scene, and fortunately enough, she's brought me up to speed now, where you know I'm very well versed in as well.
Okay, now we were talking about the success of Inside Punch, and I wanted to know also on how you're planning on building on this success of Inside Punch. Like, how are you planning on keeping the momentum going?
Well, one of the things that we're starting to work on is we're finally getting, you know, it takes a little while to create that credibility, and now we're finally starting to get some sponsors and some people that are helping us from the financial aspect of the show. Our goal is primarily we cover everything local in Georgia, but our goal is national. You know, we've covered the UFC obviously when they come here. If there's a UFC fighter in Atlanta, we're actually getting phone calls now from their management basically saying, "Hey, our fighter here in Atlanta, do you guys want to meet him, talk to him, interview him?" Kind of like we did with Cain Velasquez interview. He was in here working on a Metro PCS promotion, and his company basically called us and said, "Hey, he's in town. We'd love for you guys to interview him." So our goal is to eventually expand to the cover all of the Southeast and continue to grow from there.
Hey, Jose, this is Brad Storm. How you doing, man?
Good, Brad. How are you?
I'm great. You know, and you know, Inside Punch, you have interviewed numerous individuals over the span, I guess, around from 2008 and on. And I just wanted to ask you, who has been your most interesting interview to date?
Wow, that's a good question because we've had some very interesting ones. Dana White was obviously huge when he came here. We talked to him. Rashad Evans, you know, we've gotten on a first-name basis with Rashad Evans. He's always a great interview. You know, we've been shunned. I'm not going to sit here and toot my horn and say that, you know, we're, you know, one of the biggest companies out there. We've been shunned. So we've walked up to John Jones, and he's literally turned his back and walked away from us.
Oh, my God.
Get out of here, really?
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's,
no.
As a matter of fact, it was the last press conference prior to the UFC when they were here in April. And our goal, because we had yet to speak to John Jones, when we were sitting with the press, Kimberly and I spoke, and we said, you know, our first option is going to be John Jones. So as soon as the press conference was over, we immediately walked over to John Jones. He turned his back and walked out of the room. So yeah, that to me was kind of interesting. You know, I'm not a big fan of John Jones outside of the cage. I am a big fan of him inside, you know, the octagon and what he does there, and him as a fighter. You know, big fan of what he's been able to accomplish. But on a personal level, yeah, not a big fan of John Jones. Clay Harvison is always very interesting. You know, one of the things, and I actually was worried when we interviewed Dana White that I'd have to, when we go into the editing room, I'd have to hit that beat button a million times because we get a lot of that. But now that I'm thinking about it, the number one most interesting interview I ever did was a fight promoted by Bullet Fight Gear, Tony Metcalf up in Rome, Georgia. He had Mayhem Miller in town, and I interviewed Mayhem Miller, and that was an absolute riot. There was a girl walking by with a cowboy hat that had LED lights on it. He grabs it, he puts it on, he's talking to me, he takes the hat off, puts it on my head. I call him a nut, and he says, "That's right, I am a nut." Unbelievable interview.
Whoa.
Hey, you know, I do some ring announcing for pro wrestling, and I can always admire somebody that also does the same thing as well. And I've heard you ring announce over at Wild Bill's Fight Nights, and outstanding work. How did you get your foot in the door in that aspect, and how did you perfect your craft ring announcing?
Well, you know, it's a funny story. I was used to work, or actually used to be good friends with Adrian Patrick, who is a boxing/MMA promoter here in Georgia. And he called me out of the blue and he said, Jose, I'm doing a boxing card in a predominantly Mexican area and have a lot of Hispanics on the card. And I don't want to bring a ring announcer in that can't pronounce these guys' names. So I said, I've never done it. I've done it in the shower. Most guys sing in the shower. I do ring announcing in the shower. I've done it in the shower. And I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And that was probably around 2006 or so. And then some people heard me doing it there, and then it just kind of slowly grew into, now I do ring announcing for about 6 promotions here in Georgia. And to be honest with you guys, there really isn't a trick to it. I mean, all I really do is, I watch the Buffers of the world. I watch Jimmy Lennon Jr. I watch Joe Martinez. I watch all these guys on TV, and I just try to use some of the stuff that they do well. And I think the biggest compliment you can pay to a fight ring announcer, is when you take the energy of the crowd and you transfer that energy to the fighters and not put the spotlight on yourself. You take all of that energy, you try to harness that energy, and then you use that same energy and just put it on the fighters. Because at the end of the day, they're the guys. They're the guys that are the show. It's not the ring announcer. It's not the ring card girls. It's not the lights. It's the fighters that should receive all the credit and all that positive energy. At the end of every night, I hope that people walk away from the show and say, oh, that ring announcer was cool, but the fights were awesome.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing too. As being a ring announcer, you gotta, this is the fighters' time, man. It's gotta be a party out there, and you want to make them shine the best they can before they bang out there in the cage. But you know what? I want to talk about real quick. October 20th, big fight coming up. Wild Bill's Fight Night 50. Maybe you can tell the fans out there what the fight card entails. I know there's a lot of big fighters. Mike Corvino is going to be on the fight card. Lawson McClure. You also got Mo Travis. She's bad to the bone. So why don't you tell all the fans out there what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Wild Bill's Fight Night. 50. That's incredible. I mean, a lot of the credit has to go obviously to Wild Bills, Steve Mutter, Amy Lynn, Full Throttle Entertainment, David Oblis, Undisputed Productions. I mean, just the fact that they've gotten to 50. I mean, I've been around the fight community, especially here in Georgia, for 11 years now. And I can't tell you guys how many promoters have come and gone. I mean, 1 show, 2 shows, 3 shows maybe, and they're gone. The fact that they've been able to do 50, huge accomplishment, and I congratulate them. And they're not holding back. This fight card on next week, next Saturday, is going to be huge. I mean, you've got Lawson McClure, the GFC champion. You've got Mo Travis fighting in MMA now, her second MMA fight. It's going to be electric, like all Wild Bill fight nights are. You've got guys coming down from North Carolina, South Carolina. You've got Michael Allen, who manages a lot of those fighters, already on Facebook talking all of his junk, but, give him credit for being able to sell a fight. But it's going to be very exciting this week.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to go back right quick to the interviewing and the process of interviewing. Now, I know these days and times, we look at these interviews and, these people that conduct these interviews, and it's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on. But I want to know, have you experienced any out-of-control situations? I know you were talking about the Mayhem thing, but have you experienced any other out-of-control situations during interviews with fighters?
There have been some not necessarily out of control. I kind of pride myself on not being a guy who necessarily stirs the pot. So I try to make friends with everybody. It doesn't get out of control. I will tell you that it's really been more of post-interview stuff. We'll do an interview of a fighter, and we'll do an interview of both fighters, let's say, in the main event. And we talk to both fighters, and then we show highlights of the main event. And then, then we interview the winner, usually in or around the ring. And most of the chaos, guys, really happens once that show is aired. That's when trainers get upset because, they try to blame us for, forcing their fighter to talk some trash, and then their fighter gets knocked out. And they're, just recently, maybe about 3 months ago, I went through a battle with trainers, fighters, promoter. I won't mention any names, where I eventually had to take a video down just because it was causing so much chaos. We did nothing out of the ordinary. We interviewed one fighter. We interviewed another fighter. One fighter got knocked out. I put the show on the internet on Monday morning. Monday evening. I can honestly tell you, by Tuesday afternoon, I probably received 15 phone calls, maybe 20 text messages.
One last thing I wanted to ask you. Do you have any sponsors or anybody you wanted to thank before we let you go?
Absolutely. Impact Mouthguard. We're working with them. Great company that makes amazing mouth guards for any combat sport. And Dr. Jason Weeks out at Cobb Pain and Rehab. If any fighter out there has any injuries or needs to recover or even just needs to be adjusted, be sure to check out Dr. Jason Weeks at Cobb Pain and Rehab.
Hey, Jose, also, too, plug your website out there for all the MMA Mayhem fans.
It's as easy as it gets, guys. Be sure to go to InsidePunch.com. Check out all the coverage. Check out myself, Kimberly Sargent, as the co-host.
All right, Mr. Jose Santiago, thank you for coming on MMA Mayhem. We appreciate it as always, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Coming up next on MMA Mayhem, we will be interviewing Jordan, the Ninja Princess Gaza, on the CouchFighter.co hotline. You are listening to MMA Mayhem on thebbsn.com and CouchFighter.co.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
217 on track.
Welcome back, fans, on MMA Mayhem. We have currently on a CouchFighter.co hotline, Jordan, the Ninja Princess, Gaza. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey, it's a pretty amazing thing for, you going from cheerleading to MMA. Now, what made you decide to make a transition to say, hey, I want to put the gloves on and I want to beat some females, you know what?
Well, actually, I started jiu-jitsu when I was in middle school, so I was in that quite a long time, and then I actually transitioned with my my gym. A lot of the guys started kind of getting into amateur fights and stuff like that, so I kind of went with them, and at first I only wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and I never wanted to get hit in the face or anything, but I kind of went with the crowd on that one and ended up loving it.
Hey, you currently train at Weapons at Hand. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
What made you decide to train over there in particular as to any other MMA gym?
That's kind of a funny story. Actually, I started off at a certain gym training growing up and stuff, and then I guess, things went bad with my coach. I ended up dating him, and
How does that work out? How does that work out?
Oh, horrible. It was just a big, horrible mess.
What kind of jujitsu goes on there? Sorry, I had to.
That's a good one. Okay, so, everything ended up going bad, so I was, looking for a gym, and, that gym, actually, they were around the longest out of everyone here, and, I actually, I never went to go try it out. So when I went over there, I loved it. It was more my style as far as just the environment. Everyone's funny, everyone's laughing the whole time, and it's hard training, but yet it's a family over there, so it's awesome.
Hey, Jordan, this is the MMA Encyclopedia, George Kennebrew. You were just talking about your striking and how you didn't like to get hit when you first started training. What I wanted to know is, since then, with your recent struggles with your striking, have you become more comfortable in it since the first time that you started sparring?
Oh, yeah. I'm always going to love the ground the most, but now I'm to a point where whenever I'm training in the gym and stuff, I feel just as as comfortable standing than I do on the ground. So I've really improved, and I love it. It's fun. It's fun because it's not something that came natural to me. So I'd like to get some more fights to where I can actually stay standing.
You actually had an opportunity to go down to Denver, Colorado, and live. Did you actually live on the ranch with Donald Cerrone and Leonard Garcia?
Oh yeah.
How was that experience?
Maybe like 3 summers now. I've gone.
And how was that experience of living with Donald Cerrone and Leonard Garcia? Like, what kind of stuff did they teach you while you were down there?
I learned a lot of stuff from them as far as like their training styles and stuff. But like whenever I actually trained down there, I trained with the girls team. So I didn't learn too much from them specifically. I learned kind of from everyone. But every time I've gone there, it's been a cool opportunity, and it's cool. The ranch is really fun, and it's just a different environment. I really like it.
Hey, you've been saying that you've been training jiu-jitsu since 8th grade, right? And as far as striking goes, you've been building that up. Now, what was it like stepping into the cage for the first time as a pro?
As a pro, it was kind of the same as the amateur fights. It was a little different just because it was in my hometown. But, stepping into the cage, since my first amateur fight, it's kind of like, I like being in front of people, and I like performing, and I like, just kind of being the center of attention. So, I've never really got too nervous, except for, recently I kind of started taking it more seriously. So now you're like, oh, God, I don't want to lose. I don't want to do this. So.
Hey, George and I know all about being the center of attention, right, George?
Yeah. And also, I wanted to get to the lighter side of things right quick, Jordan, if we can. I heard that your trainer, the guy that actually first started training you MMA, y'all used to date, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to know, have y'all since reconciled? Because, I found out some things. I heard that, some bad things went on. And, you said he was a horrible dude, turned out to be a horrible dude in the end and everything. And I just wanted to know, have y'all found at least some sort of reconciliation since that time?
The sad thing is we actually, my first pro fight, we're on the same fight card. He fought a fight before mine. But it's never been to where I would say he's kind of the immature one in it. I'm older.
Guys being immature? No way.
Well, he's way older than me too. So, it's kind of like
what's way older?
Like 11 years.
My wife's 11 years younger than me. Hey, I'm way older, I guess.
Okay, so then it's okay. But he just hasn't gotten, I don't know. I mean, he has 2 kids. It's different. But just being around him, I always end up around him because even one of my coaches trains his stand-up. So it's kind of weird, but he kind of tries to avoid me at all costs.
Yeah, it's probably a uncomfortable situation, but you got to do what you got to do. And speaking of doing what they had to do, in Invicta Fight Championships 3, that went down this past weekend. I want to know, do you have any plans of making your way to Invicta in the future?
I would love to. I'm just waiting for the opportunity, but I'd love to. It's awesome. Like, I love watching those fights. I've watched all 3 of them already, and they're so. They look like they treat their fighters so well, and the show is put on very good. So I'd love to fight for them.
Jordan, you were saying that you wanted to utilize you wanted to utilize more of your stand-up in future fights. Now that you've got the jiu-jitsu and you've got the striking down pat, do you feel now at this point that you've put together an entire MMA skill set?
I feel like I still have a lot to learn, but I feel like I can have a really good, well-rounded fight now. And, I don't have to rush to the ground right away and stuff. So, now I just need to, like my coaches say, I just need to get the confidence in my stand-up that everyone else has in it and actually, show it in my fight.
Jordan, I want you to know your thoughts on maybe the UFC heading towards having females on their cards. Do you think that's ever going to happen? And do you think that maybe Ronda Rousey might be the one to step it up and make her way to the UFC to promote female fighters?
I'm sure that she will be the first female in the UFC. It seems like Dana White's starting to lean more towards it now, but I'm sure that she'll be the first fight and stuff. But what sucks is, they never recognize the smaller weight classes. It's always, like 145, 135. So I'm hoping that after Ronda Rousey wins everything, because, her fights are just going to be the same every time. So,
submission.
I kind of want to lose interest in that. And I'm hoping that people will pay more attention to, like the 125, the 115, the 110 weight classes.
Yeah.
So that can make its way towards the UFC one day.
We try to ask a lot of fighters, whether it's male or female, how they got their nickname. And I'm a little curious how you came about, or somebody else came about, the nickname of Ninja Princess.
Well, my friend Felice, I went to go train with her for the first time last year. And, I'm a brat. My parents do everything for me. So, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do anything. So,
you train. You're training all the time.
And then, ninja, just like, MMA is kind of like from ninja. I don't know. I think like fighting and ninjas have something to do with each other. But anyways, my friend Felice actually gave me that nickname. So we just stuck with that.
Have you ever thought about, if your MMA career, doesn't work out per se, if it didn't, would you go back to cheerleading and possibly do like some coaching or make some, I don't know, be a guest judge at a cheerleading competition or something?
I was thinking about getting back into it, just the tumbling at least.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like tumbling.
I'd like to, stick with it because it's something that, I did my whole life, and I kind of miss it, and I had wanted to actually try out here at the university where I go in Corpus, and, that just takes up all your time, though, so, I'd love to kind of stick with that. I've always wanted to open a gym when I got older, and I always wanted it to be, like a half MMA, half all-star cheerleading gym.
Hey, that'd be excellent. I used to be a cheerleader for University of Georgia. I think a lot of people give me hell for it, but back in '98, I cheered for them for 3 years.
That's all right, Brad.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so I love the fact that you're a cheerleader, and anytime you come over to Georgia, if you want to do some stunting or whatever, I can throw you up in the air. It's been a while, but I think I could do it.
Brad said he still got the chops. He said he still got the chops.
Do you want
to keep that in mind?
Hey, do you want to promote any sponsors out there before we wrap things up?
Just. I don't have any specific ones right now, but, everyone here at home that supports me, all my parents and, God and everyone here. And then also just all my fans that I've collected along the way. I have almost 8,000, a little more than 7,000 fans now on my fan page. And, I would have never thought that I'd have this many people support me. So, just thank you to everyone, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, well, Jordan, it's great to have you on here on MMA Mayhem on the couchfighter.co hotline. We appreciate it once again. And anytime you want to come back on the show, feel free to give us a ring, or we'll give you one.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Nice talking to all of y'all.
Coming up next on MMA Mayhem, we will be debuting the exclusive MMA Encyclopedia Insight. You're listening to MMA Mayhem on thebbsn.com and couchfighter.co.
Think about your mother, your sister, your girlfriend. 1 in 6 women is a victim of sexual assault. Now think about your father, your brother, your best friend. Men are victims too. Rape can happen to anyone. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN, encouraging you to call the National Sexual Assault Hotline to learn how to support someone you love. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAIN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
This is Roger the Leprechaun Carroll, XFC fighter. When I want my MMA news, I tune in to MMA Mayhem.
Check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Is it louder this time too? Does it look like louder? All right, man. Y'all must not understand.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MMA Mayhem. This is the debut of the exclusive MMA Encyclopedia Insight. Gonna give you some fun facts on some Invicta FC fighters real quick. The first fighter that I want to talk about is Vanessa Fasario. She's from Brazil. She fought on the Invicta FC card this weekend. And did you know that she was one of the first female fighters to ever drop Cyborg Santos? I mean, can you believe Cyborg Santos actually getting dropped by somebody? Unbelievable. That is your insight on that. And also, Ashley Cummings, another Invicta competitor that fought on the card this past weekend. Did you guys know that she was actually a police officer and actually still is? And she was actually training, or not training, I should say. She was actually busting up some drug dealers because there was a big drug bust that went down in Kansas City that night. And she had only had a certain amount of time to train for her fight. That is unbelievable. I mean, talk about double duty. Like, this girl is the epitome of double duty. Too bad her double duty did not pay off because, she got knocked out with a vicious knee. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week. And this has been your MMA Encyclopedia Insight.
Well, that's some interesting stuff there on the MMA Encyclopedia Insight. And you got to wonder, maybe doing that double duty affected her chances in winning in the cage. And, hey, great stuff. And we got to talk about some good things going on. Bellator Fighting Championship 76 is going to be at Caesars Windsor Hotel and Casino coming up this weekend. You're going to have Eddie Alvarez from Philadelphia Fight Club taking on Patrick Ferreri. I might have slaughtered that name, but hey, you know what? This guy is a banger. He's from Team Nogueira, 10-3. Eddie Alvarez with a 23-3 record. MMA Encyclopedia, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it should be a hard-hitting contest. I mean, any guy from Team Nogueira, he's going to come out and give it his all. But, Eddie Alvarez, man, I mean, that guy's just a bull in the ring. He's been on an incredible streak since his tenure in MMA. That one could go the distance, but then again, you never know with two high-level strikers going at it.
Hey, there's a little bit of story behind this. Patrick, his trainer, Bruno Gouveia, he passed away, and this is his first fight back from the whole ordeal with the passing of his trainer. You got to wonder if that's going to give him some momentum into this fight. And you got to also wonder, both men were beat by the same guy. That's right. Important information. Ferreri was beat by Chandler in Bellator Season 4 lightweight tourney, and Alvarez was beaten by Chandler as well via submission. You got to wonder, is he going to take him down with jiu-jitsu? Is Alvarez going to lose this one? This is his last fight in Bellator.
He might want to go out on top with this one, Brad. I don't know, man. I mean, when Eddie Alvarez is on, I mean, that guy is pretty much like a machine. But going back to what you were saying about the passing of the opponent, lately the passing or any sort of ailment doing to anybody that's close to somebody has really been paying off. I mean, look what happened with the Indianapolis Colts, just for a prime example. They run a hard-fought game for their coach. So, I mean, we could be looking at that same situation here. But I don't know. I can never count out Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? Jeremy Spoon's going to be facing off against Mike Richmond, the Marine. Jeremy Spoon, the Spooner. He's affiliated with Born to Bang and Houston Murphy. Houston. Both guys are 12-1. They're going to be powerhouses in the cage. This one, I think, is going to end in a TKO. I think Spoon's going to get the victory second round.
I totally agree with that. And don't we have UFC 153 on tap this Saturday, Brad? I mean, this probably might be the most goldenest of opportunities. I know I screwed that word up, but this might be one of the most biggest opportunities that Stephan Bonnar is ever going to have, because he's going to get a chance to do something that nobody's ever been able to do, and that's rid Anderson Silva of that long legendary winning streak.
Yeah, dreams can come true, and, a Rocky story reigns supreme in this one. Stephan Bonnar, the American Psycho, nothing to lose in this fight, and Anderson Silva comes in here. The last loss he had was in 2006 versus Yushin Okami via DQ, so really he didn't really even lose. So he just got disqualified for a head kick, and you just got to wonder, Stephan Bonnar's going to have enough to get the job done. I think he's going to give it his all. I think this one is going to be a hard-fought contest like Brandon Vera did, early on in the year. But I don't think he's going to get it done, man. I think it's going to be submission. It's going to be in the third round, and lights out.
Basically, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be Forrest Griffin encore, but except Forrest is not going to be in the cage. Anderson Silva, first round, KO, enough said. The Spider reigns supreme.
And I really want to touch on the tough contest going on. What's going on with the ratings there, George? What's happening?
I don't know. I guess Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson are not talking enough trash. I guess the trash talking meter hasn't gone up to the highest. I mean, hopefully that can improve sometime this week because, I mean, you know, both of these guys are sort of like logs in a forest. You know what I'm saying? I mean, none of them really have any, you know, real charisma or anything like that. But I'm going to tell you some guys that did have something to prove, and that was none other than Julian Lane and Bristol Merende. I mean, Julian Lane, I mean, this guy was fired up. He wanted to fight Bristol. You know, there was a little chatter going on before the contest even happened. And, you know, Julian said, you know, Coach Nelson, let me take him. But it turns out when he got in the cage, it seemed like he got cold feet, Brad. I don't know what happened.
The bottom line here, George, it was a man versus a boy, okay? You got Julian Lane, young guy. He's tough as nails, but he hasn't, you know, not enough experience in the cage. And you know what? With these young guys, some of them, if they, you know, he pulls a lot of pranks in the house. He's messing with Bristol and the rest of the crew. Maybe actions speak louder than words. And when you're playing mind games like that, maybe you don't have it in the fist. And it looked like that Julian Lane, once he got tagged a couple of times by Bristol, it was game over. He broke him down mentally, and it wasn't going to look good for Julian.
I totally agree. So, Julian, next time, if you're a boy, fight a boy, but do not fight a man. And speaking of a person who's all man, Donnie the Bomber Bell is going to be fighting on Extreme Knockout 16, October 20th in Arlington, Texas, which is his hometown, and he's going to be fighting for the lightweight championship of the world against Brad Mitchell. Brad, you know, we had Donnie the Bomber Bell not too long ago on the show, and he said he wants to get the knockout, the home run in this fight. Will he pull it off?
That's right. You can check that on thebbsn.com or couchfighter.co and on Facebook under Beer Batter Sports Network. I think he's going to get the job done. The Bomber doesn't have a car in this one. He doesn't have to look to fight for something else. He's just fighting for what's most important. We talked about this with Houston Murphy, the belt. And he's going to get that belt, I believe. Lightweight championships going around his waist.
No doubt about it. You said that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to get out of here. But before we do, as always, also, we want to talk about Wild Bill's Fight Night 50 coming at you from Duluth, Georgia. This is going to be on October the 20th itself. So we got a double dip this night. And we have Pat Lachat Mendio versus Mike Corvino, somebody that we are very familiar with. What are your thoughts about this fight, Brad Storm?
Well, there's a lot of good fights on this card. I think Corvino is going to be ready to bang. I think he's going to get the job done. But, you know, only time will tell on these. I got to do some more research on this contest. But like I said, Lawson LeClure is going to be on this show versus Shane Crenshaw and Mo Travis. I've seen Mo fight before. She is pound for pound one of the best female fighters out there on the circuit. And, you know, only time will tell. And I think I'm going to be heading out that way October 20th to check out this show.
Cool. Maybe I can meet you up somewhere and we can go enjoy that show together and spread the good word about MMA Mayhem like we always do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, we are definitely going to thank our sponsors right now. So let's go ahead and do that if we can. Born to Bang Athletics, Houston Murphy. Sorry I couldn't make the interview, but I still love you anyway, boy. Mr. Suit 217 Guapin, thank you for the tunes. Bobby Whip, appreciate you. Collapse of the Empire, appreciate you. Pinups for Soldiers, Max Muscle, Lawrenceville, thanks for showing love. WWA4 is definitely where it's at. Shout out to Mr. Hughes, Headlocks and Headshots. Harold J. Taylor, what's up? Glacius, XFC, Mr. Prisco, holla at us. Rain, Christina Ricci, thank you so much. Conflict MMA, Jared Williams, holla at us. Southern MMA, Molly, we thank you so much. American Top Team, Atlanta and Gwinnett. Jacal, Steve Imes, I see you. And also, for my ladies out there, Goodbye LA are available right now on iTunes or anywhere that songs might be sold. So you might want to go check them out as well. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, goodbye, LA. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, you know what, George? You know, hey, fans out there, we're going to have a bigger studio next week. We won't have to share one mic. We're getting too close for each other, George. It's really close in here. So we apologize for all the technical difficulties, but next week we'll be back for the attack. You know, hey, this has been another BBSN production.